Let's respect the process.
They're the corruption hearings that brought down state premiers in New South Wales.
This has clearly been a significant memory fail on my part.
In 2014, Barry O'Farrell resigned after giving misleading evidence about a gifted bottle of Grange.
Hello.
Hi, Orchis.
What are you doing?
I just got home.
Were you in love with her, or were you just with her for the power?
Gladys Berejiklian's secret relationship with disgraced MP Daryl Maguire was found to be serious corrupt conduct after it was revealed in an IBAC inquiry.
I didn't think it was something that I needed to disclose.
These cases would never have met the bar for investigation by Victoria's anti-corruption watchdog, IBAC.
Had it come directly to IBAC, IBAC would have had to conclude that there are no reasonable grounds to suspect a crime was committed.
The Corruption Commission needs assistance. It needs to be unshackled.
Former Victorian Deputy Auditor-General Peter Frost believes now more than ever a more powerful anti-corruption agency is needed in Victoria, in part because of a faltering Liberal opposition.
They're operating like feral cats. If you don't have an effective, unified opposition, for example, and that's their role, to hold the government of the day to account, to nip at the government's heels, to offer alternative policies, to me the Corruption Commission is absolutely sort of important.
Police, lawyers and integrity experts have appeared at a Victorian parliamentary inquiry discussing whether IBAC's powers should be expanded to operate more like ICAC in New South Wales.
It goes beyond criminal forms of corruption, the kind of things where people are putting money into briefcases and that kind of thing.
Robert Redlich was the IBAC Commissioner between 2018 and 2022. He says the bar to investigate is too high.
They are confined to where, on the face of the material that comes to IBAC, there are reasonable grounds to suspect a crime. And so it's a very limited jurisdiction.
ICAC, for me, is the gold standard. And they are not hampered by this impossible barrier before they begin their inquiries.
Every state and territory has its own integrity commission. Victoria and South Australia's are limited to investigating corrupt conduct where there are reasonable grounds to suspect an offence has been committed. In other areas, this is not required, allowing most commissions the ability to investigate soft corruption.
Soft corruption, which might be simply to pursue their career, or to advance the interests of the party, or to benefit some third party that's closely aligned with the party in government, that sort of soft corruption, which is common, needs to be exposed.
Last year, IBAC released findings of a survey of public servants, which found that 90% believe that corruption occurs, and an increasing belief that it poses a problem in Victoria.
This is a Games like no other. It'll be the greatest spotlight, the greatest showcase of all that we have to offer.
Robert Redlich says Victoria's ill-fated attempt to host the 2026 Commonwealth Games, which eventually cost the state $589 million to abandon, could be investigated if IBAC's powers are expanded.
The public needs to know and needs to be able to assess whether or not that form of decision-making contravenes codes of conduct and other ethical behaviour.
Expanding the definition of corruption is not the only thing the inquiry is looking into. It can take years before IBAC releases findings for its investigations. This is because the legislation requires IBAC to send a draft report to anyone mentioned, who can then dispute and litigate the findings.
It cost Amanda an incredible amount of peace. She lost all sense of peace, not knowing what the future held.
Amanda Stapledon was a former mayor of the city of Casey. In 2020, she was called to give evidence during IBAC's Operation Sandon, which investigated allegations of corrupt conduct between councillors and property developers.
It was a difficult time for her, a very difficult time. And what followed on after that was even worse.
Rob Ward says, as a close friend, he watched Amanda's mental state deteriorate as she waited for IBAC's findings.
She would come around to our place in tears. We would sit there and we would talk with her and pray with her. She was definitely under the impression that she was going to be charged and she would have to spend every dollar she had to defend herself.
After 2 years of waiting, Amanda took her own life.
The injustice of that is that IBAC knew for years that there would be no adverse finding against her and that she would not be charged. And the pressure got to her, and this was disgusting, nothing short of disgusting.
IBAC notified Amanda's lawyers she would be cleared of wrongdoing days before she died. She was never told. Robert Redlich was IBAC Commissioner during Operation Sandon. He agrees findings take too long to be released.
Justice delayed is justice denied, and it's never satisfactory for parties and people touched by the investigation having to wait years before a report can be published.
The fact that the hearing was public really made it difficult for her because she felt that her reputation was tarnished and it was held up for everybody to examine.
In Ms Stapledon's case, she gave her evidence in a stoic fashion. There was no sign of there being a well-being issue. She acknowledged her failings in the most commendable way. And the regrettable fact is that because of one of the deficiencies in the IBAC legislation, it took so long after the investigations concluded before the report could be published. That's one of the major reforms, and I've urged upon the committee, needs to be addressed.
Amanda Stapledon testified in a public IBAC hearing. Former Premier Dan Andrews, who also gave evidence in the same investigation, did so in private.
From your point of view, should Daniel Andrews, his evidence been in private?
I don't think I had much choice. In all of the cases in which the former Premier gave evidence, I think the terms of the Act required me to do as I did. Had I not done so, I've got not the slightest doubt that we would have been off to the Court of Appeal or perhaps even the High Court.
The inquiry into IBAC is also debating whether examinations should be heard in private or in public. And there are differing views. Hearings are usually private, but the Commissioner can conduct public examinations in certain circumstances. Wayne Gatt is the CEO of the Police Association of Victoria. He called for a mandate that presumes IBAC hearings are held in private.
It's a bad day for somebody when they have a public hearing. Well, it's a very bad day. Yeah, and the next day is going to be worse. And indeed, days for years after are going to be really troubling for those people.
When IBAC did conduct public hearings, the public was infinitely better informed.
The parliamentary inquiry into IBAC continues. The committee is expected to release its recommendations later this year.
I think it's safe to say that for every single case we know of, because it has been investigated, there would be countless examples of soft corruption which never see the light of day. And that has to stop.